All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm on the internet again as always. I used to preface all my shows during the pandemic by saying that because I wasn't meeting people in person, but I think it's a given now. I just often feel like I need to remind listeners that I'm online. I'm not meeting people in person anymore. We're still, even though shows are happening and things are kind of moving towards the civilized way it used to be, maybe. Um, I'm still online, but I'm here with a new band, and that doesn't happen often. Usually, the artists I'm talking to on the podcast are people who have been around for a while, people whose catalogs I have quite a bit of familiarity with. But this is one is a little bit different. And one of the guests on this episode has been on the podcast before, but it was like 7 or 8 years ago now, and I wasn't even there for that episode. The format was totally different. So this is basically like starting from scratch with a brand new band. And I think the best way to start it off is if the three of you here want to introduce yourselves and maybe give a bit of background about the project and what you do in the project.
Sure. You guys want me to kick it off?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Have at her.
hey, I am Marshall. I'm the one who was on the podcast years back with a former band, The Unbelievable Bargains. But now I'm this boy and in this band, and I play the guitar and sing the songs.
Cool.
And I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, and then we can talk about
what this project actually is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll jump in and then probably pass it back to Marshall because he sort of helms the ship here. I'm David. I play the drums and sing in the band, and I've actually also been on the podcast once before, but very sneakily, with a band that John Askholm, former host, was in. So,
oh, that's right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I was down in the migrated blanket fort.
That's right. Yeah. That's another one from many years ago.
Many years ago.
Right on.
Kevin.
Yeah, and I'm Kevin, and I'm basically childhood friends with Marshall, and he asked me if I wanted to play music with him, and I said absolutely, and it's along for the ride.
Cool. And so this being a new band, I mean, I'm so sick of talking about it, but I have to ask, is this something that started during the pandemic? Or is this predate the pandemic or post-pandemic? When did you actually get started with this? Because it's been such a hard time for anyone to do anything over the past 2.5 years or so.
I feel like we started maybe with Kevin and I Engage, who's the other band member, who's Gage Salikowski, who plays in 1,000 bands and performs his own symphonies on the internet and that sort of thing. I feel like that was slightly before the pandemic started, and then that happened, and then Davey had been out in Hamilton and came back, and then I kicked Kevin off of drums and told him to play the bass. But essentially, yeah, most of it's been during the pandemic. So we've actually been around for quite a while. I've just never played a show. And it's, we kind of came out of the ashes of a former band that Davey Engage and I actually all played in, Marshall and Some Buddies, which existed for a few years before the pandemic, and played some shows and had some fun, released an album. But this is different, damn it.
Are there similarities though? I mean, I remember that band. I don't think I ever saw you live, but I remember definitely seeing the name, on posters and around. Is this kind of a continuation of that, or is it a hard stop and start something new?
Yeah, to a degree. I don't know, Dave, what do you think? Like we play a number of the same songs that we played in that band that we didn't record. But I feel like we sound kind of different. Gage switched from bass to lead guitar, and he's Captain shredding on a headless, whatever kind of fancy guitar he has. And
from Sweden.
Yeah, I feel like we're a bit more rock than the Buddies were, maybe.
Yeah, I would say that too. I remember at a show we played as Buddies once, somebody told us that we sounded like the Kinks, and we were all tickled by that. And I don't think that would happen anymore. This is, I don't know what somebody would tell us that we would be tickled by, but it wouldn't be the Kinks. We'd still be tickled, but also think that person was maybe wrong.
Well, what's the what's the comparison that you guys would make then, as for what this sounds like? I mean, I know it's a hard question to answer, but if you're trying to give like a Cole's Notes version of what this band is there a comparable? Is there someone that's kind of well known that you would point to and say, yeah, maybe a bit of this or maybe a bit of that?
Good question. I don't know. I think we're
It's
somewhere
kind of a shitty question, but I mean,
It's a classic question, though.
yeah,
you
that's
know,
right. Yeah.
and one that's challenging sometimes. I think we sometimes kind of fall somewhere between the Buddies and almost the Bargains, my older band, because we're a bit more on the punky end, I suppose. I don't know. I could talk more about probably who I'm influenced by, but I don't know if we actually sound like any of them. I don't know,
Well,
guys. What do we sound like?
maybe a better question then is like, are there any artists that the whole band agrees on, that all of you, I mean, I'm sure you all have different influences, but is there anyone that you kind of all sort of say, okay, yeah, I can see this being sort of a reference point for everyone, or is it all just completely random and assorted everything?
We don't really talk about music.
It's pretty
We all
assorted,
like-
I'd say. I was surprised at the variety. Like, I think the songs have, as we've played them more and more, they've gained its embellishments, which kind of has led each one down its own path, I think. Gage, certainly, like, he can play any variety or style of music, so he can really, like, you know, put it in that vein. And yeah.
So is that guy like your
Yeah.
secret weapon? You're just having him available to sort of, fill out whatever
Yeah.
the sound is that you need?
I initially had this scheme that he would come in and play like a dozen instruments in the band, but he's also just fine on just straight lots of guitar. So that's been really good.
That's cool.
I think I mean, some of the stuff that influences me the most are bands that are eclectic and play all different styles, like Ween, and they might be Giants, or like most of the bands of the late 60s, really, I feel. But you know, as lots of those bands are very, very talented and can do all sorts of different styles very well. So
That's right, yeah.
when we kind of try different things, it all kind of comes out in a similar way, sort of. We have songs that are like influenced by like Mexican music
Okay.
and Irish folk, and there's like kind of a ska song, and there's some harder punkin' songs. There's like a sort of funny prog song about dogs.
All
And
right.
a couple of choice covers.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
Those reference points too, I mean, like, they might be Giants and Ween. I feel like with the Bargains as well, a lot of your stuff seems to have some sort of humor element to it. Not that it's not that you're like being Weird Al already parody songs or whatever like that, but there's like definitely kind of a lightness to it, and it seems like there's yeah, it's funny. I mean, there are funny songs rather than just like overly serious songs. And maybe if they are overly serious, it's not as obvious because the way that they're kind of delivered. Is that something that you do on purpose, or is it just sort of how your songwriting comes out?
I think it's just how the songwriting comes out. I like to chuckle. We're all funny boys. Like to have a bit of fun. But yeah, I don't really write about things too seriously. I think music is it's a fun thing to do, and I do play music with pals for fun. That's why I basically brought a band together of just pals I like to hang out with. So I don't want to write about anything too serious, really. Most of my ideas just come off the top of my head when I'm sitting on the toilet, and they're usually just about something that happened 20 minutes ago that involves me eating something or seeing an animal.
Right.
That's kind of inherently funny. I don't know.
Oh, those are both like, tried and true subject matter too. They work, right? Animals and food. It's hard to argue with either of those topics. Yeah.
They're both great.
So I guess maybe like just jumping off that, not the toilet part, but the fun with your friends thing. Like, I mean, is that kind of the idea with this? Is just a fun project that you're just sort of doing while you can and doing what you can with it?
Yeah, I'd say to a degree. I doubt that Kevin or Davey or Gage are banking their futures on this. But yeah, I would definitely say, I mean, we're all old now. We're in our 30s, except for Gage, somewhere in his 20s.
Yeah, he's a baby.
Yeah, he's a baby boy. But I think, I have no, I'm not fooling myself thinking that I'm going to become the world famous musician off of this. It's mostly just hang out with friends, have fun. I would love to play some shows, and I think my idea of success is that like some people in the city like us enough to ask us to play a show occasionally. That would be primo.
Well, that's just as valid a definition of success as anything else, too, right? I mean, does that kind of take? I don't know if you had any pressure to begin with, but does that take the pressure off as far as just kind of what you're doing musically? Like, you don't you don't have to worry about the idea of, oh, we need to play what someone needs to hear. You want to play what you want to hear and what that group of people in Winnipeg might want to check out at a show one day, right? I mean, is that make it easier to be weird and be funny and maybe just kind of be loose about how you make your music? Maybe loose is the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
No, you're right, I'd say. Yeah, we don't think too much about what people want to hear. I don't know if we play what people want to hear. What do you guys think?
I think that's probably true. I think I've heard a couple people in the band talk about how putting on shows kind of sucks. Oh, I got very blurry for a moment there.
It's okay. People can't hear the blur, so
kind
we're
of
good.
sucks, and it's more fun to like get asked to play a show and show up. And if I feel like Marshall's been around for long enough that if somebody asks a Marshall show or a Marshall band to play a show, they know what they're getting, and it changes from band to band, but there's still like the loose fun songs, they're all still there. So that's why I'm in the band, is because sometimes we get asked to do things that are super fun and like just good opportunities. I've met a lot of cool people through like playing shows with Marshall and company. So yeah, it's just kind of fun.
Well, that's a great reason to do it too, right?
I think it's a good point too about like putting on shows and stuff like that, and then doing things other than just rocking is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, sure.
We don't have a Facebook or anything like that. I think there's like nowadays there's so many things you can do to promote your band. You can spend all your time contacting people, doing things on the internet, and
you can get buried in it. There's just so much, yeah.
Yeah, very little interest in that. I'd rather just kind of play some songs with my buddies. That's nice.
Well, you have a record coming out. Is it an EP? Is that right?
Yeah.
So when was that made? I mean, how did the pandemic affect that? Because I mean, I imagine if you're working on that to come out soon, you must have done some of that during at least part of the time when things were locked down or things were a little sketchy as far as being able to meet and see each other and things like that.
Yeah, we recorded that, what was that, a few months back, 3-4 months back. I just rented some thing from Long McQuaid that could record multiple things at once. I recorded it in the basement over a series of weeks. It took, like, if we had actually gone to a studio and paid for some, we probably could have done the thing in half a day, but we just kind of had fun in the basement for a bit. And I feel like the pandemic might have impacted things a few times. There probably people got sick and it took a bit longer, but also we didn't really have any pressure. We didn't have any shows coming up. We didn't really care.
Have you played yet? Has there been a live show yet with this band? When is that happening? That's coming up pretty soon, right?
August 13th. At the, I can give the plug now, at the Handsome Duck there. So it's 2 new bands actually, which will be pretty cool. It's us, and then it's a band called Foxwell.
Okay.
With Mike Fox's new band. He played in Odana, and it's played in some other things, and it's got some other characters from around you might recognize. Gage actually, who is in this band.
Okay.
There, I don't really understand what, but they're going to be playing too. And then French Class, who are funny synth good times, and Johnny Sizzle, maybe.
Right on.
He's supposed to play. Apparently he has COVID right now, so still got a few weeks, so we'll see what happens there. But we'll see. We can probably find someone else to jump on last minute if need be.
What is
that's gonna be the first show, and I guess kind of an EP release sort of thing, sort of.
I like the casual nature of this. Someone might play and there might be an EP. It's good. It's good. It kind of fits with the whole vibe, I think. What does it feel like? Now that you're finally playing a show, like, are there concerns about tightness or about whether you have these songs sort of down enough, or do you think that it's going to go? I mean, I know you've all done this with other projects many times over the years, but does this feel ready? Does this band feel like it's ready to play live?
I'd say so. What do you guys think? I think it might depend on the song to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, when we did those demos that are now the EP, which is a pretty demo-y EP, when I first heard them back, I kind of felt like, ooh, these are a little rough. And the more I listened to them, the more I thought, no, that's how these songs sound. Like that's pretty honest. So are we ready? Yes and no. Have we missed a bunch of intended rehearsals recently? Yes, absolutely. Are we going to try and cram in a couple more? Yes, absolutely. Are we going to miss those? We might. But we played for the first time in like a month last week, and it sounded pretty much the same as the recordings.
Cool.
So I don't know if that speaks to the recordings or we're just really awesome. I'm going to go with the latter.
That's a good answer. Yeah. Is that roughness like an aesthetic choice, or is it just kind of how it sounds?
Maybe a bit of both. I've always kind of like subscribed to like an anti-perfectionist idea of how to make art.
Totally.
I don't want to massage the dough too much lest it's not rise properly. Is that how dough works? David, I feel like you make bread.
Yeah.
It sounds right anyway.
Yeah, I think there's something to things not being too over produced, overworked over, and stuff like that. It adds some immediacy to it. And plus, you know, we're kind of a punky sort of outfit. I'm definitely listen to a lot of stuff that's kind of shambly rock music, like the the Vaselines and the bands like the Clean from Dunedin and that sort of thing. That kind of all sound a little bit half-assed, and that's what's nice about them.
I like shambly as a descriptor. That's good.
We'll put that in the bio.
I think you should. Yeah, I think it's fitting. So, I mean, the good thing about this being a podcast is someone could hear it, you know, when it comes out, or they could hear it a year later when maybe by then you have hopefully a bunch more shows and maybe some more music out, things like that. I know you said you're not really into the whole self-promotion, social media kind of thing. Well, what is the best way, I guess, if people want to find out more about this band, find out when you're playing shows, things like that? Is there a way to sort of get hold of you or keep in touch with what's going on?
Question. Well, probably when the music's ready, I'll put it on Bandcamp, certainly.
Okay.
And I mean, maybe we'll make a Facebook page or something someday. It's probably not a terrible idea. Look up Dog Pops. That's who we are. We're Dog Pops.
Dog Pops.
And hopefully it comes up. But you'll probably just get advertisements for a lot of popsicles for dogs.
I assume that exists. I mean, I have a dog. I've never given her a popsicle, but I imagine that that's an item that's available.
They like them, I'm sure.
Why dog pops? I mean, again, it's the animal sort of theme that you seem to enjoy.
Dogs are good.
Is that the full thing? It just dogs are good. I mean, or is there any more depth?
I don't know. It's fun. It's two short words together. You can put that, you know, big on a poster or something. It looks cool. T-Rex had that idea back in the day, and I like that.
Marshall, I don't know if you remember, like that originally came from, there was a whiteboard at the place that I was working, and two words ended up being really close together in giant capital letters, and it was dogs, popsicles. And then we were trying to come up with a band name, and it just got reduced to something way better than dog popsicles. So
yeah, that's right. So Davey got that from his work, and it's fantastic, I think.
Yeah. Kudos to Tamara.
Dog
and you can
popsicles
take
might
it
not be bad either, but
yeah, I think that's what we were originally thinking. I think that's what David suggested maybe, and then it got shortened.
I think I was going to say popsicle dogs, but we workshopped it a little. You know, you can tell.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this sounds much more professional and more like an actual band name. Yeah.
But dog pops could mean whatever you want. You know, when you think of a dog pop, what do you think of?
I don't know. I mean, a dog popsicle, I guess, is, but that might be because we've just been talking about dog popsicles or popsicle dogs. Yeah, I don't know. Dog pops. Yeah. I like it. It's a good name, and the animal theme is always. Didn't you have a dog as a logo for the bargains as well?
Yeah, I had that. Yeah, and then last band, Davey and I were in. Our album was called Dog Daddy. Yeah, so dogs they're just wonderful in many ways. Yeah. Kevin's got some really good dogs. Should bring those up.
Yeah, I've got some A+ dogs. I've never had dogs in my life. Marshall's dog, Arrow, was one of the first dogs that I knew as a child, and so that was a great dog. He's got a painting of it that's quite delightful.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, I have a dog in my life for the first time. It was pretty great during the pandemic. So I associate it more with like the having dogs and being a pop to that dog, if I may
Father
be
dog.
self-ingenuous.